This Bach Gigue is a fun, lively, intermediate level piece. It's impressive because it's fast and because your left hand is crossing over your right hand throughout. It's a great piece to learn because it will challenge you on articulation and dynamics and hand independence and playing it fast and clean. This piece may seem straightforward when you first look at the notes, but it's actually a bit challenging. If you follow my guidance in this video and practice, you'll be able to play it well. Today I'm going to teach you how to work on the articulation so you get that authentic Bach sound. I'll show you techniques for managing the hand crossings and show you how to work up the tempo and maintain clean playing. This piece is in the Applause Book 1. I love this book and my students do too. So I decided to try teaching all of the pieces from this book in a series on this channel. So I encourage you to buy the book and then watch my lessons on the pieces. I've linked this in the description, and you can also get a free copy of the sheet music of this piece on imslp.org. The first step I want you to take when learning this piece is practice only hands separate for a while until the notes feel easy and you can play very clean. So the left hand is going to play all of the quarter notes in this piece. In the edition that you're seeing on the screen, it's pretty clear that that's what's happening, but in the applause book, it's not so clear. So the left hand is playing all these quarter notes. And it's crossing over back and forth from the treble clef to the bass clef. It would be easiest to play the right hand eighth notes, two note slurs like this, and connect them. But to get that authentic Bach sound, I encourage you to play the notes detached. So you can see that I'm using my wrist here. There's no elbow movement. I'm going down, 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 down. And there's not a lot of finger movement. It's mostly my wrist. So start slow and gradually work up that speed. I found that it's also easiest to do a finger brush staccato in certain places in this piece. So starting at bar 11, you have all these white keys. So it's easy to be on the edges of the keys and do a finger brush staccato. So I'm just brushing off the keys, and that gives that detached sound. And also on the last page, it's easy to do the brush finger staccato again because the left hand is crossed over the right hand and it's in the way, and it's pretty impossible to do a wrist staccato. At the very beginning, I like the wrist staccato because there's a lot of black keys. So it's hard to do the brush finger staccato on the black keys. It's extremely helpful to sit higher when you're practicing this piece. So make sure that your bench is at the highest position, and then I recommend sitting on a pillow to get a little more height. And this really helps with the wrist staccato. It makes it easier, and also helps you just keep your shoulders down and relaxed when you're sitting up a little bit higher and you're not reaching for the keys. For the left hand melody notes, you could experiment with articulation. In this edition that you're seeing on the screen, there's some two note slurs marked, and it's every time the left hand is playing a half step. So you could do that. It would sound like this. I always encourage my students to play every note detached in this piece to get that authentic Bach sound. This edition also shows a staccatissimo marking on the first quarter note of most measures. Staccatissimo means shorter and more crisp than a regular staccato, and that would sound more like this. There's an incredible recording of this on YouTube of Grigory Sokolov, and I love his interpretation. He plays these staccatissimo notes a little longer than the other quarter notes. So it sounds like this. I love his interpretation. I'm just tapping the pedal on the first note of each measure. So I want to also mention articulation on the last page. The quarter notes are descending, usually by half steps. And so it'd be nice to do something with articulation to emphasize the descending scale here. So I like to play the highest note a little bit longer than the other quarter note. Now let's talk about the trills on the second line. In the applause book, you'll see a note at the bottom of the first page to play the trills like this. And I find that students struggle to maintain the fast tempo and play that full trill. So I recommend shortening the trill. So play G, A, G, then F, G, F. So it's easier to play and it still sounds great. One of the main challenges of playing this piece is to play it fast and clean. So how should you practice it? Well, like most pieces, I recommend that you break it up into small sections and then play each section several times in a row, slowly and perfectly before moving on to the next section. I would say 2 or 3 lines max would be a section. So try to mark the sections where there are phrase endings. So I would say bars 1 through 8 is a good section. So I'm going to practice it at a medium tempo. You could practice it slower than this. So that would be the first section. And then the second phrase or section would be to the end of bar 16. Another good practice strategy is practicing the higher quarter notes separately from the lower notes. So you would do that would give you some practice tapping the pedal on that first note of each measure. Then you go back and practice the lower notes. Practicing like this will help you identify the voices and also help you find patterns in the music. So if you look at the third line, notice that the lower quarter notes are repeating. So you have D flat, C, D flat, C. And same thing on the last page at bar 42, the lower notes are repeating G flat, F, G flat, F. And then at the top of the last page, your notes are at bar 34, your notes are just moving by half steps to about there. So you notice those patterns when you're practicing hands separate and practicing in groups like that. You could also try practicing with a metronome. If once you get those hands together and you notice you're making a lot of mistakes and you can't slow yourself down, you keep going faster and faster, then you might want to try practicing the metronome and turning it on a thinking tempo that you can play perfectly at. So you could try around 70. Oh, whoops. Get this on 70 here. So this would be and then once you can play it perfectly at that number, then you just gradually work up the numbers by 4s or 5s. A Bach gigue is, the tempo can vary, but it's generally fast and lively and played around 120 to 160 BPM for the quarter note. So here's 120. I'm going to play a little bit of the second page because I haven't played any of that yet. And here's 160. So pretty fast. But don't let that discourage you. If you stick with this piece long enough and you really know the notes and you practice in the sections and you practice slow, you do a lot of hand separate practice, you'll be surprised how fast you can play this. One thing I want to mention too is don't be afraid to write in your music. There's a lot of unexpected accidentals in this piece, sharps and naturals. And so if you find that you keep missing the same note, mark it in for yourself. I notice that students don't do that and they just keep making the same mistakes over and over. Once you can play the notes clean and the piece is starting to feel easier, then I encourage you to work on dynamics and experiment. There's places in the music where you're going to feel like it should get louder and places that should get softer. Like at bar 41, the higher notes in the left hand are ascending, so it's going to feel natural to want to get louder here. And just remember that in the Baroque period, the instruments couldn't gradually crescendo or gradually decrescendo. So if you listen to concert pianists on YouTube, you'll notice that they perform Baroque works with terrace dynamics. And this is where you suddenly step up or step down the dynamics in volume. Because the instruments, you were able to do that. You were able to do stops on the organ or engage more strings in order to get more sound or volume. So listen to my terrace dynamics here at the top of the last page. The most important thing to aim for with your dynamics in this piece is to make the left hand melody sing out over the right hand. It will probably help you to just think about the left hand doing the dynamics and the right hand staying lighter. At the top of the second page, I like to play this part quiet because there's really these high delicate notes, but it's hard to play quiet because of the articulation. So it's tough, but you want to use less wrist motion when you're trying to play lighter, and you just use your fingertips. And then when you want to play louder, you're going to use more wrist motion. So right there, here's the top of the second page. So I'm using more wrist motion when I want to play louder. There's some exceptionally tricky places in this piece that I'd like to help you with. So at bars 25 through 26, your left hand's crossed over, and it's easy to get your fingers tangled here. So I recommend playing your left hand closer to the fallboard and keeping your right hand closer to the edges of the keys here. And also, fingering is very helpful. So I found the best fingering to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 5. Then at 29 and 30, this is another tricky place. So you want to bring your left hand under the right hand. Then you're going to swap it and do left hand over. So I'm going to start here at 28. Those are the best solutions that I found for those tricky places. This piece may feel difficult for a while. It's not an easy piece. You'll probably struggle with the large jumps and the hand crossings, the articulation, being able to be consistent with that, and then keeping an even, steady tempo. But I want to encourage you to give this piece some time. If you do some slow, careful, conscious practice and you follow the tips that I've given you in this video, it will get easier with time. You may consider memorizing it because it's hard to do these jumps and watch the music and your hands at the same time. I definitely recommend memorizing it if you plan to perform it. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments about this piece. I hope you'll check out this playlist that has complete lessons on other pieces in this book, Applause Book 1. So I hope to see you there.